Welcome to today's episode of The Art of Feeling Better. And this episode could well be the most impactful I've ever done because I'm chatting today to one of our youth tribe, Lacie. And during the run-up to our amazing Reimagining Education event this Saturday, excuse me, my voice is going just in the nick of time, we did a catch-up and we wanted to talk about the topics that we're going to be covering on Saturday. And we have everybody together around our campfire. We have young people, we have changemakers, we have teachers and educators, we have parents. It's going to be really incredible. And the whole topic is around how we learn, grow and thrive. My part to play is bringing Mojo School to the table and the work that I'm doing. And we wanted to start having the conversations. We've been building a Wicked Issues magazine that's led by our young people around some of the topics. And we've had some heartbreaking stories and information around the current education system and how people are finding things. And we've had a combination of young people and parents and teachers getting involved with this magazine, and all seem to be sharing the same kinds of challenges and unmet need and stories. So I wanted to catch up with Lacie because Lacie is an incredible young person. She's a young carer. She's been through many, many challenges herself and is currently working on lots of different boards and groups, working with Youth Parliament, connecting in with the Senedd in Wales, and really trying to help champion change for other young people. She's training to be a youth worker herself, which I think she'll be incredible, of course. And so I really wanted to make sure we got her voice in particular, but on behalf of other young people that she represents and works with, some of the challenges and her own particular story. So take a look at what happened when we met up at Halkyn Castle Wood.
So when I went into camp, I was like, no, I'm not going to resonate with any of these on this tick list.
Yeah.
But I sat in the children's ward in the hospital bed and nearly ticked every single box off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I do that and I do that. But I did it for years. So like nothing.
You think it's normal behaviour, don't you? It's just you, but it's not it's not part of your personality. It's stuff that you've had to do to cope.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It's interesting when you do it as a parent as well. If you get a parent version and then.
So my dad could never actually fill that form in. So they never had a parent view from it because he had his own mental health struggles.
It was, and you know what? It was really difficult as a parent. And I'm pretty resilient, but that was really tough because you have to be really honest about what you think is going on and and as a parent, you think, what's the right answer? What if I get judged now? It's really bizarre. It's really weird because you've not experienced it before.
I know
you just have to be dead honest. We were dead honest.
My parents struggled with my brother's ADHD one.
Yeah.
And they struggled with.
Why do you think that was?
Because at first they thought it was their parenting style.
Yeah.
Like they thought they were going to get criticised on their own parenting style.
Yeah.
And then it came out like that my brother had ADHD and that they actually couldn't do much.
Isn't it interesting from a parent's perspective? Because I only know it from mine, but if your parents had the same thing, it is very much a fear of judgment. And I wonder whether that's something that they can talk about because it's so clinical. You automatically walk into a room, you think, oh my God, I'm being tested here.
Yeah. And I think it's because people do get sent to social services for quite a lot of things. Like, you can get sent to social services like that for anything.
Bad stuff or, not support. But they're there for support, though.
Yeah.
And there's loads of things that they can help with.
I think it's because, obviously, parents are more aware of that safeguarding responsibility that the doctors and the people in the clinic do have.
Yeah.
So they get scared that safeguarding is going to be an issue. Because I also had that, even though I'm a young person. Yeah. I knew everything about the safeguarding policies because I work in.
I was going to say you have more knowledge than most people, so you would be thinking, "Oh my gosh, what if something happens?"
I knew that I didn't say certain things. Yeah. Because it'd be brought up as a safeguarding
You knew it was a trigger. Yeah, you knew it was a trigger.
So I was, especially going through high school, I was very careful.
But what would help with that then? Because obviously if you'd had the right person or the right structure, you wouldn't have had to hide any of that. No. You would have just got the support.
I think it's because, so when I first got put onto the social services, I got put into them. My teacher previously said, no, this won't be going to social services. It'll be going to a different organisation. And within 2 hours, I had a social services meeting.
Oh, really?
And social service were involved. And I got put on child protection register and everything. And
so should he have said something different, do you think?
I think he should have been open, going, it is a possibility
it might happen.
that social services will get involved.
Did he know? Did he have the right training, or did he think it was something he could manage? So
they
he
were
knew.
They were seniority. They were safeguarding leads.
Okay, so
they knew there was a possibility of social services getting involved.
Okay, that is a really difficult one from a professional, but you're taught you can't make promises, and I've only had to do that once. And I sat with the young person and explained, listen, this is where we're at. I'm not going anywhere, but we're probably going to have to get someone in that can help. And it's not pleasant, but at least if you're honest, you remain that trusted person and don't. It's really hard though. I get that. It is good.
But it is hard when like they said one thing and then
and
something else happened.
Yeah, because you kind of trust that what you're told, don't you? And you'd rather be told the truth.
Especially from professionals and seniority staff.
Yeah, that's hard. But what happens is it is really hard, because I teach safeguarding as well, and when you're in that space of being a safeguarding or being a professional, being a teacher or whoever else it is, all you want to do is get that person to open up.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult as a human not to lead them, but it's really important not to lead people in that direction or make promises just to get them to open up, because it creates more problems than it solves.
On the day everything happened, I think I was very open. I was crying my eyes out.
You were ready.
Yeah. I went, it was like school was on the Monday, but I didn't speak on the Monday. I just shut myself off because I was still processing everything from the weekend.
Of course.
And then the Tuesday, I just broke down in my teacher's arms, and I was like, I can't do this.
There's so much you can take.
Someone. Yeah. And I think as much as they made it a welcome environment from that point, where they were like, no, social services won't be getting involved.
You wish they'd said.
And then 2 hours later, I'm getting pulled out of my lessons to go sit in a social services meeting.
That's really confusing, isn't it? Yeah. If you've been told that this is probably what's going to happen, or maybe even like explained the different possibilities. So this might happen, this could happen, this could happen. So at least you're aware that that's a possibility. It's managing. It's not trying not to frighten people, but let them know that you're going to get the things in place that need to be in place. But was it a good thing though, them getting involved? Does it help? So it
was good and bad. Like, I had to get rid of one of my social workers. So you go through like the stages, don't you? You have like your first social worker, and they're just like a review officer,
assessments,
and then they put you in like the brackets. Yeah. So she was lovely. She wanted to help. She got people involved. She got my dad's support and stuff. And then we got onto our actual social worker. That was a child protection registered social worker.
So that's the specialist area.
Yeah. And I was attending the child protection register conferences that we were having. And so I knew what was expected of them social workers, and she didn't do anything of what was expected of her. Okay. So like, she wasn't visiting every 10 days. She wasn't doing a spontaneous visit every 30 days. She wasn't coming to check us in schools. And it got to like 3 or 4 months in. Yeah. And I knew that if this hadn't changed, we would still be on the child protection register for a lot longer. Yeah. So I didn't even speak to her about it. Yeah. I went straight to the officer that sat in the meetings for the child protection register. So the top person, and was like, I need a new social worker. She doesn't do this, this and this. That's in our plan. Yeah. And it's not benefiting the family having not having consistency with a social worker. It's not benefiting the kids because they think they can talk, but they can't because she's not always here. So they got us a new social worker, and he did everything. Brilliant. We got a new house. We got everything involved.
So there's 2 things in that, isn't there? There's one, there's training, making sure that the training's consistent and the people are all doing the same thing that they're meant to do anyway. Yeah. And there's the fact that just because you knew that and you have got the wherewithal to go and challenge it, most young people wouldn't know. No. They would think, this is my rescuer. This is literally the person that's make a difference. You wouldn't know that it could get better. Yeah. So you just get stuck and lost in a system. That's a tricky one, isn't it? That's really hard.
I think it was always really tricky because you would...
Is your green light on? Yeah, it is. Just go and see.
You would be told that you can't challenge the seniority, but there's times where you're going to have to challenge the seniority.
My bit of advice is always challenge seniority, and any senior in anywhere, anyone who's senior who doesn't like to be challenged is problematic. You can't kick off and fight all the time. You can't get your own way all the time, but you should always be able to question, challenge, have your voice heard, have an explanation, have a meeting. There has to be structures and rules in place, and you might not get your own way, or you might not be happy with the outcome, but you should always challenge, and you should always be invited to challenge. I get very worried when organisations or structures have that approach where you don't even never challenge. Like, nah, something wrong there. Got to be able to challenge, and in a nice way, in an appropriate way. You know, what's wrong with saying, actually, this isn't working for me? Can you explain it, or can I ask if there's anything else that can be done? That's just meeting your needs, isn't it? It's not being problematic.
I understand that social workers are very overrun with their case files.
That's the problem, yeah.
And I get they're stretched out, but you sometimes have to do more than the bare minimum.
100%. Well, you do,
because
exactly.
Obviously that child doesn't want to be in this situation in the first place.
Yep, it's all about the child.
They don't want you coming into their house and invading their privacy all the time.
Yeah.
They want it over and done with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you pulling it out long because you can only do
the bare minimum. Is that what it feels like with some? I mean, I've not got that experience, but is that what it feels like from your perspective, that some will only do the bare minimum and yet others go way above and beyond, so you can see the difference?
Yeah.
So there's no consistency then between people, is there?
No.
Like, and I suppose the challenge there would be, when you're in a job role, you could say, well, that is my job description. Save the pizza. That's my job description. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'm going to do. And then in law, that's like, well, that's all they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
The other person, and this is really difficult, you know, because I've had this conversation with lots of different people over the years. The person who goes above and beyond might get reprimanded for not being within their scope and going professional boundaries, doing too much. And then I also speak to people who say the person that saved my life, or the one person that changed my life, was that person that went above and beyond. So it's dead hard, isn't it? Like, at what point do you go above and beyond? Are you going to get yourself into trouble? Is it the right thing to do? Is it not? Should you just be doing your job?
I think it's just a hard line, because obviously there is certain expectations from people.
And people are suffering, aren't they? You don't want to see people suffering. I don't know. I think from my work, that for me, it's about trying to put this buffer in place so that the social workers don't become overrun, so they can manage their caseload. Because if more people had the support earlier on and understood early interventions as kids, as parents, families, adults, everybody had the skills.
I've always said, like, there's a lot of stuff out there, but why not do these regular meetings with parents, and these in schools meet up once a month with the parents and be like, this and this, or have training on for parents, being like,
training's a good one,
managing behaviour training or something else training. And
I think they go for that. I think the problem, this is from like a governor hat on and a parent hat on, because I have all these different hats, like you really, I've got loads of hats. It's really difficult to get parents to attend anything. A, because they're all burnt out and fed up and stressed out. B, because they think they're going to be judged, or they've got other things that are on their plate. So you can put things on till you're blue in the face, and you can sit there in an empty room where no parents come. But we know that the parents need it, and the parents know they need it. So there's some gap there, and I wonder whether you're right in framing it as behaviour, help support. It's the way you phrase it, isn't it? If you were offering something that helped parents with kids with ADHD, or helped with behavioural challenges, or helped with, it's not like come in and be judged, or come in and we'll tell you what to do.
So from my dad's point of view, he wouldn't attend them trainings because it's stereotypes for him.
Yeah, I get that.
He's supposed to know everything. He's supposed to be the man of the house. So why should he be struggling with looking after my brother, or looking after my siblings?
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it?
But these stereotypes need to be broken.
They do, because
nothing's going to get better.
The kids suffer as a result, and so do the parents. The parents
but then
are struggling.
It's like the stereotypes that my dad learned, my brother's now learning. So then it's just genetic.
It's called cycle breaking, and that's what we're doing. That's what you're doing in your role you're moving into now. That's what we do. It's breaking cycles, isn't it? Trying to break the cycle in any way you can, but it takes quite a lot to shift that, because people have to feel safe to have these kind of conversations, because otherwise you feel like you get defensive, don't you? Because you feel like you're being judged, or you're being challenged, and you've got your own set of stuff to deal with as well, and you only learned from your parents, so you have no reference other than how you were raised, and then you pass that on.
Because you just get kind of thrown into a parent role.
Yeah, there's no book, is there? There's no. I mean, I know how to raise babies. I've got 4 babies, so I'm pretty good in my skill set. I could teach a new mom how to care for a newborn baby, because I've done it 4 times. I might not be totally right, but I've got a skill set. I have no idea how to parent adults. I'm blagging it. I'm totally winging it, because this is we are though, aren't we? We're winging it, because evidently, thanks Tommy, because I've never done it before. You're doing it with teenagers. You could parent little toddlers now, because you've been through that. And 5, 6, you've learned what you did wrong as well, because I think back and I think, oh, if I could pass wisdom on, I would do this because this worked. I'd maybe do that differently. So you've got the experience there. Parenting adults, no one teaches you about that. There's no book.
It was hard for me as well, because So I never parented babies. I may have looked after my siblings once or twice.
Yeah, so you
maybe wanted to hug them and maybe feed them bottles a couple
that's
of
a
times.
role in itself, isn't it? As an older sibling,
Yeah,
that's a different role again.
But then when my mum left, and then my dad was suffering from his mental health, I got thrown into
you have to be the parent. Yeah, you parent those
being
siblings.
that support system for my siblings. And I was like, I don't even know how to look after these kids.
I don't even know how to look after myself.
I don't even literally, I don't even know how to look after myself most days.
Yeah,
let alone 3 children that are similarly close in age to me
it's not like there wasn't a massive age gap now, but you just happen to be the eldest. Unlucky. I'm the eldest daughter. It's fun. It's fun. We get tough, but it is. Yeah, it's interesting.
But it's like, because I didn't have a parent to be taught things.
Yeah, you just have to make it up as you go.
I make it up, and then I'm hoping for the best for my 3 other siblings.
But you do, when you have kids of your own, that if you choose to have kids, it's the same thing. You've got a bit more experience because you've done it once before, but you really hope for the best. And then when you're older again, this is like the cruel irony of life. When you're older again, you like, especially if you do what we do and you do a lot of self-reflection, you look back and you go, oh, I did that, didn't I? Oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that's probably really messed them up. But at the time,
I do literally, that all the time
you're only doing what you can do at the time. So you've got to cut yourself some slack because you're literally doing whatever you can do at the time. Yeah, and if you've had the added thing that you've had your dad struggle with his mental health, obviously as a result of all what was going on, you learn to put massive lockdown masks on because you're like, I've got no choice here because they need me over there. He needs me over there. Your own needs become secondary and you just box them off somewhere. But sooner or later, they have to come back up and you go, actually, what do I want? What do I need? And quite often you don't even know, do you? You're like, I don't know because I've never been able to think about it before. You have to kind of explore then the things that actually matter to you.
Yeah, you kind of learn how to split yourself in half without splitting yourself in half.
Oh, you do, totally. Multitasking at its finest.
Especially when like so many people actually need you at once.
Yeah.
And you're like,
who do I take a ticket and get in line? Well, that interesting conversation that we keep having over and over again, which is definitely what we're going to put. I'm putting it in the magazine as a big quote from you, if that's all right. We do about that in itself being a really difficult challenge to navigate as a young person. Well, you put in the school system and the challenges there. And you said before, being a woman, and I know that being a man has different challenges again. It's a different thing again, but you've got a certain set of restrictions from being female, and the school system and the expectations there. If people actually understood what was going on in the background and what you were doing and how you're feeling, I bet there wouldn't have been anywhere near as much slack about why is your uniform not right? Why are you late? Why are you not focusing?
I think
I'm not focusing because my brain's catching up.
Through my whole high school experience, I think only 2 teachers out of all my teachers, and I must have had about 30, 40 different teachers. Only 2 of them teachers sat down and actually wanted to know my story and why I was not attending into the school regularly, being absent from lessons, staring outside 24/7, being very anxious, becoming more ill regularly. But only 2 of them teachers noticed, and only 2 of them teachers wanted to sit down and have a chat with me about it.
Why do you think that is? Out of all those teachers, professionals that are trained, why? What? I mean,
because I think for some of them, it was they couldn't see the signs.
Yeah. So training.
For most of them, it was because they couldn't see the signs.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, are scared to have the conversations with the young people.
Yeah. Training again, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's all training, isn't it? Once you know how to do it.
They're scared on how to approach the conversation.
Yeah.
They're scared on what the young person's actually going to say to them and then how they should respond.
Yeah, that's fair as well. It is fair. I bet you had no interest whatsoever at the time at learning trigonometry because your life was completely chaotic. Like, I don't care about French at this moment. I don't care. I'm just trying to survive. But this conversation is important. It's important. That's why, because people don't have a conversation.
I remember sitting in my chemistry, and it was one lesson I really struggled with just because the teacher didn't like me.
Okay.
Because I wasn't attending her lessons regularly. So I would sit there and I'd be like, what are we learning, guys? And she'd be like, this, and this. And I'm like,
I don't know it.
But she then wouldn't take the time to be like, oh, Lacie, this is what you've missed. We'll catch you. Or there was times where I literally rung up my school and begged them to send me work home. And that I would teach them. And they were like, no, we haven't got time for that. And I'm like, it would take you 2 minutes to send me some work home so that I'm actually not missing. Because I went from in year 10, from the beginning of year 10, I went being an went an A-star student, was predicted A's in everything.
Yeah.
And then in the October, everything happened and my life got turned upside down.
Tough year, that as well, isn't it?
And then by the end of year 10, I was predicted to fail every class, and multiple teachers sat there and were like, "You're failing this class."
So how at that point did nobody pick up? I mean, I think, right, I mean, you've been an educator in a school. I'm an educator in different spaces, so I can't speak. It's still do you think it's the time, because you know, as a teacher, like I know when I have my sessions, I build them in so that I have time at the end. And okay, my family might have suffered a few times because I'm meant to be home at 4 and I'll get home at 6.
Yeah.
But I know that if there's an immense need for something, or if one of my young people has a disclosure to make or something, I know I'm building in that time. I'm not moving to another session. It'd be really difficult if I was moving to another session that had another set of people waiting for me. And so the teachers don't have the conversation, because they know if they pop the lid off something, they've got 2 minutes, like GPs, to go, really sorry you're feeling that, off you go, get to maths, because they have no option. So getting I always, and I know I make it sound really easy because my brain just gives me solutions. That's what my brain does. Every time something crops up, I'm like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. And they're not always doable. But I just think even just having that pastoral room in any school, that sensory room with somebody in it constantly, that you could say, come with me, you lot, you go in there, and then that person takes over. It's like, tag, this is what's just been disclosed, this is what's happened, here's your safe person. Doesn't that happen?
My high school has a pastoral team, but the pastoral team are all seniority staff,
right,
that are overrun. So I would walk in there 9 o'clock in the morning, because I had to do a 10-minute check-in every single morning to do with my mental health, how I was feeling, my health, and how the social services were going. So every morning, 10-minute meeting.
So the system's there. It looks like it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
But
and then I'd be waiting like an hour or two to get, because this one was busy and this person's busy and she can't deal with me because she doesn't know what's going on. And this person can't deal with me because they don't even know who I am.
So they tick the boxes by having it in place. So someone like this has gone in a meeting and gone, this is what we need this. And someone's gone, great, let's have a 10-minute check-in. And the theory of it's great. And the young person goes, yeah, that'll really help me. And social services go, yeah, great idea. But actually doing it is where the problem lies, because no one's got the time.
My youth worker came in with me for a meeting, and that's how it got, the 10-minute check-in got put in place, because my youth worker saw that I needed it. So that was the resolution of that meeting. Never got done.
Didn't get done.
I think I had a 10-minute meeting maybe once a week. Not even at 9 o'clock in the morning. It would be like 2:30, and I'd be going up ready to go home. And I'd be having a 10-minute meeting about how I felt.
And that makes you feel, I guess, I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth now, I guess, but what comes up for me is then that must make you feel even more let down, because not only have you been offered some help, but then it just doesn't materialise.
But then it also shows to other students in that school that you're not going to get help when you need it.
That's my worry. And I think your case is very, and it takes quite a lot to have that provision put in place and be put on, if you're under sort of child protection stuff and you've got your assigned social worker, it's quite a process. And for that to happen, that there's multiple things that have to take place. So your case is obviously quite significant, and you've had quite a lot going on that most young people won't have faced, and you couldn't even get that help. So I think about all the others that kind of float through the system, that kind of have like Tommy's stuff in high school, like there's stuff going on and there's stuff coming up, but no one's noticing it and no one really gives a shit. No one cares. No one's talking to me.
I'm so glad I'm not visible on this, because my face must be...
Are you just like eye rolling and angry? But just think about the percentage. So you'll have a percentage of young carers, won't you? That are in similar situations to you. There'll be a percentage of young people who have just their own significant mental health issues that are maybe diagnosed or undiagnosed. There'll be all the neurospicy brains, which are becoming more and more a percentage, who just cannot deal with that environment. So who gets help?
And then it'll also be like people that aren't willing to speak up, that they're in a situation.
100%. Yeah.
So then you've also got them as well.
Well, I was a good example of that, because our stories are coming out at the moment, the three of us, so the three mentors, and my story. You'll be able to read it later. It's going to be on the socials. But I was considered to be a success story. And I've had this conversation with my friend Sonka. We have this big podcast around it. So if you're looking at data, we're looking at successful data, people that get through high school with no problems, they're not problematic children, they don't give you any trouble, they get really good grades, and then they go off to college and, oh yes, successful. I ticked all those boxes. I was never a problem. I was a student. I was really conscientious, did all my work, just the model student. But the masking that it took to do that, and my story now, I talk about it all the time, and stuff that was going on for me, which in my life was dramatic for me, and it had a really big effect. but that didn't show itself in school. So I'm still considered a success story. But for me on the inside, I wasn't really a success story because there wasn't any support and I could have done with it. It just wasn't picked up.
Yeah, because like up until that year 10, I was their success story.
Yeah, but they didn't know.
I was their A-star student. I was getting put forward for everything.
Yeah.
I was getting to do extra courses and qualifications on the side of my studies.
Yeah.
I was that A-star student, but because one thing changed in my life,
the system wasn't equipped to deal with that. So it's the system, isn't it? Because it's not the teacher's fault. The teachers are really struggling with their own stuff. It's the system that's not set up. Unless you fit in that box, in that lane, and nothing ever happens to you, it doesn't work, does it?
No.
And I think that, for me, one of the things that I keep thinking at the moment is, especially in the West, especially in this country, we are taught that emotional suppression is a badge of honour. You get gold stars if you can deal with shit without ever showing emotion or without ever having a meltdown. That's teaching ridiculous amounts. That's not emotionally intelligent. That's awful.
Now, I've been the social type. I've just never been to have friends.
Yeah.
So but that was because they started to see my life and what my life looked
like. What was real.
And they didn't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be a part of the emotional.
Yeah, the chaos.
On in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not going to stick around and try and be friends with you.
They wanted the fun social side, but they didn't want what was behind it. But do you remember Rivertown? Yeah. So that was my role in an adult community setting, and because there was such a high level of need, it got ridiculously overwhelming because I'm good at what I do, I'm good at my job, and I had people queuing down the road because someone would say, "Oh, she'll listen to you. She's got." So
but then doesn't the overrun show you how much it's actually needed?
Yes, yeah,
and how much actually your students are suffering. They're not just one of that 1,000 students that you have in a school.
No, it would. Maybe that's why they don't want to do it, because it would highlight the inefficiencies.
They'll know where they're not.
It's quite a fight, isn't it? Because I think it's obvious at this point what's going on, but it's just that resistance to actually acknowledge it. It's acceptance, isn't it? Going, yeah, actually things aren't great.
Yeah, the new curriculum is really good. The new curriculum looks really amazing, and it should support the children's well-being a bit more than it does now.
It should.
But it's not where it should be.
No, it's not. So you guys can help me, actually. I'm going to make sure I don't film hours and hours worth of stuff because I'll chop it down. But I know you've already got the app, haven't you, my app?
Yeah.
So I've just finished building, and this is what I need testing. If nothing else, I need this bit testing. It's for, what have I called it? Next Gen. I've called it Next Gen. And I've designed it really short. So each of the videos is like a reel. So it's 60 seconds to 90 seconds. So it's not like my other stuff. It's dead fast. And it's all based on anime. So I've just animated it with really quick fixes. But I've made it all the things that you should be learning in school that you wish you'd learned. And it's designed specifically for that. Like, I feel like it's like that year 10 up to college/uni, all those difficult transitionary phases where you're adulting, but you're not quite, and it's really tough. So I've included things like, this is why it's not appropriate for the younger ones, because I've included topics like consent, boundaries, self-harm, relationships with food, suicide prevention.
Literally, the only other thing they did on consent was the tea video. And I've seen that tea video a million of times, and I'm like, I understand consent.
Yeah, but you need support in how to actually apply that to your life and how it works in real life.
Guys, I need to know how to deal with budgeting. I need to know how to do insurance. I need to know how to do my car.
Yeah, you need to change a light bulb, change a plug.
Independently. Yeah. But I'm very fortunate that I had to learn off my own back how to do all that. And because of the situation I was in.
That does give you an extra skill as well. You shouldn't have to.
Not every young person's.
No, it's not their experience. And you shouldn't have to when you think about it that way. No. However, the positive reframe on that is you've also learned another skill, which is problem solving, because you've had to learn how to learn. So it's not like you've just automatically been taught this in a classroom and then you've got to apply it. You've been in a real life situation where you have no idea how to fix it.
Yeah.
And your brain has had to recalibrate and problem solve. So it's a really good skill.
It's like there's sort of schools right now do SWEET, which is all about life skills.
Yeah.
But you only get it if you're part of a disadvantage. So like if you're in base.
Everyone though, really.
So like if you're in base, which base is like you're struggling with your English or you're struggling with your maths, or you can't do Welsh because of certain reasons.
Yeah. But surely that applies to every young person.
I've always said SWEET should be mandatory to do.
That makes no sense to me. Why you?
Because I only did SWEET because I couldn't be in my catering course anymore.
So that's why they put you on it.
Yeah.
But why would they not give that? That's like basic life skill, surely. And that could be implemented surely on the curriculum. So I need to work out if any topics I've missed. So I don't reckon it'll take very long to test it out for me. Literally, when you get home, get on it. It's free. I put it as free, so there's nothing on it. Just get on it and just check out all of the bits. It starts with mental health, then it goes to physical health, then emotional health, then self-development, like finding your purpose, finding your passion. But I've tried to put every element that young people tell me they wish they'd covered in school, but dead quick, like little reels. Because then I think if that can be offered in a classroom, if the teachers don't have to think about building their own or making a new curriculum, it's done for you, and they can literally give it, everybody can have it on their iPad or their phone anyway, but they can use it on the screen in PHSE lessons. Like every week, it's done.
Look, I never had PSHE lessons either.
It's crazy.
I must have had it like 2 or 3 times in year 9, and that's it.
Did you have it every week, Tommy? Did that last right the way through PHSE? You did it?
I barely learned anything in my school.
And they should be the prime times to learn that stuff, even if it's just an hour a week. If you've got a good teacher, but again, the teachers don't want to talk about sex, don't want to talk about gender,
they
don't want to talk about relationships.
About periods.
I know. So it's so important. But thinking about it in a purely, and this will be controversial, so when I put this on a podcast, as long as I've got your permission to put all this in a podcast, I'm going to be triggering people now, but tough. It's still problematic, because if somebody is uncomfortable with those kind of conversations, there's some work to do. That person is in a teaching role, teaching other people to be uncomfortable about talking about things like that. So I think there's still a need there.
I think that's why I wasn't, up until now, up until I had to parent my own siblings. I was very, no, you don't talk about my period. No, you can't talk to me about my period. You can't do this. No, I'm literally everything, nothing. Like, I didn't even tell my mum when I first got it, because I was like, no, this is something you don't talk about.
How bad's
but that was because I wouldn't talk about it in schools.
No.
You would get handed your period product bag at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's like, shh, hide this, never speak of it. You're like, what is that about? And that's not good for the men either. Boys are not learning. It drives me up the wall, that.
Which again comes down to awareness and actually having more understanding about mental health as a professional, as an educator. There wouldn't be this resistance, and there wouldn't be like the new curriculum for Wales is very open. It's very open about sexuality, and quite liberal really in terms of children can have a male and female toilet, and then there's a lot of children now that maybe that's an outlet for attention. If maybe they aren't confused about their sexuality or their gender, maybe that's them speaking out to show that they actually need some attention.
It could be anything, any kind of unmet need.
That's the thing, isn't it? I think it's a lot of teachers, that's a part of the new curriculum that they think is a bit too broad and a bit too open. I think that's perhaps a resistance. But what I feel is like the really like highlighted neon sign about that is, why are so many children wanting support in that area? Is it because they have got these feelings, they're not sure about their identity, or is it that actually their mental health's on the floor and we need to address that?
I think it's a balance of both. I think if sometimes you're looking for a community, or you're looking for some kind of identity because your needs are unmet, but then you don't know that. How do you know? And as a parent or teacher, how do you know? And how do you know when it's something else?
In schools, you'll see who gets the support and who doesn't get the support in groups. So like, you'll see that this person, this group has support.
People have said, if you say that you're gender, you're non-binary, or you're this sexuality, and you get to go to this room and do this. Is the reasoning behind that the reasoning that they do want, or like you say, is it that there's an unmet need and they want the community, or they want that space, they want that time out, they want to get out the bloody classroom?
It's the same with one school that I was in, had this beautiful sensory room, and it was specifically set up to support autism and to support the students there that needed specific sensory stuff, but loads of kids were using it because they needed a time out. And then loads of kids were thinking, well, I must be autistic then, or I definitely got ADHD because I need this support and I need that support. And it's not known enough, it's not discussed enough, it's not. So people are so conflicted and so confused. But it still brings me back to, if at a very early age, parents, where possible, and teachers, for sure, can have these open conversations, even with little tiny ones. I know it's contentious and people say you mustn't speak of it, you mustn't speak of any of these things. You can have conversations with kids in the language they understand. And I've spoken to loads of kids about different things over the years, and they go, all right, cool, yeah, it's not a big deal. You can talk about body parts, you can talk about gender, you can talk about relationships, and they're not gonna, it's not going to influence them. It's going to give them the right kind of support and options. People are terrified that it's going to influence them.
My old primary school now teaches from year 1 and 2. Who should they trust?
Yeah.
What's actually not appropriate and what is appropriate?
Yeah.
The real names for all their body parts.
Absolutely.
But then they get a lot of backlash off the parents being like, no, you shouldn't be teaching my child that. I don't want my child to be taught that. And they do have to get consent of parents. So if their parents don't actually consent, they're pulled out of that lesson to go do something else.
But in terms of safeguarding, we've heard this millions of times where people, you know, even just naming body parts, there's massive historical cases where you've had people that have said, you know, my uncle pinched my cookie. Oh, don't be silly. If you're calling body parts random names because it's uncomfortable for you, that is leaving you wide open. And like, you know, forcing people. We've done it ourselves in our family. Hugs and kisses. Hug and kiss everybody the moment you sit in a room and the moment you leave a room. It's like, what if I don't want? What if I want to protect my personal space? It's that kind of generational, kind of cultural stuff that we do. And we don't say this, and we don't speak of that. And then there's some magic time when you get old enough where you can sit down and have this conversation. No, there isn't, because you put it off.
No.
Just have the conversation as early as possible. I know you've got lots of kind of cultural nuances within that, and you have, like, I can remember going, and this again is going to really piss people off, but hey ho. I remember going into a school one time, and it was a highly religious school, it was a Catholic school, and you know, my ways were a bit controversial, not controversial, but unusual methods of teaching, like being a human and talking like this. So, and it was slightly younger children, but the theme was, I love all of this. The creative stuff's great. This is great. We do not talk about anything to do with LGBTQ+. We're not allowed to do that because basically you're just going to turn everyone gay, and the parents don't like that. That was what they believed, that if we speak about these things, everybody's going to end up gay. And I had to try and explain to the adults, you know, that's not actually how it works, right? You know, that's not, that this is the problem. This is problematic. But I didn't end up going to do anything in that school. But then that just made me sad and made me think that we still have so many barriers to cross where there's just a lack of understanding, I guess, and a lack of wanting to understand because it's too uncomfortable for people to even think about it.
But I think it is hard when you go to, like, from a young person's point of view, to have your own identity, because you have what your parents pushes on you, and then you have what social media and what the big wide world expects of you, but then you also have what schools' expectations.
There's so many expectations.
Because I went through a massive identity crisis because I had my whole life changed. And then my identity was looking after my siblings.
What are the labels on you now?
That's actually settled down, I actually didn't know what to do with myself, because what do you do with yourself?
You're just a caregiver, that's it.
So then I was like, okay, well, I'm stuck now. And I had no one to turn to in the school system. So I had to turn to my youth workers, and them youth workers made the change, but then not every young person has a youth worker.
No, and so that is it for me. And I had a conversation, and I'm going to see if he'll jump on a podcast with me, actually. Elfin, we were talking about this the other day. We had breakfast at Spoons. He was like flying free from Dubai. So we were like, I can't take you anywhere posh, but we can go and have breakfast in Spoons. But we had a really interesting conversation. I know Anthony, when we come to the event as well, you're going to love Anthony. He's brilliant. He's great. We were talking about this, and this is going to be, again, Angela, you're not on camera, but I would love your expression on this, because he said it and I thought, I think you're absolutely right, and it feels right to me. But it's going to be an interesting transition with AI and all these things that are coming up now. We're doing lots of work with AI as well, and how that's, you know, supporting the technological advances and people's learning. We use it a lot, and it's great. So there's a thought process at the moment that teachers, in the traditional sense, as we know teachers, are going to become obsolete in the next 10 years. So there's no point in having teacher training or people going through their PGCE, because the classrooms are going to shift so much that what's needed is youth workers, facilitators like us, youth workers that can hold the space. AI can do anything now, and you can have your lessons planned, you can have visual stuff, you'll learn in different ways, and young people can decide how they best learn, what they want to learn, what routes they're going to follow. And it's the skills of the youth workers that act like coaches rather than dictators. Because really, school, especially high school, is a test of memory, isn't it? You are bombarded with as much information as you can possibly take in. so you can spit it out on a piece of paper in an exam.
Yeah, and I don't
It's
remember any
useless.
of it.
It's not. We realise that now. It's not actually useless. And we
Like,
know
the
from
only
brain
part
science.
I ever remember is health and social, because I resonated
Because
with it so
yeah,
much.
you want to do that as your career. So there'll be loads of environments like this, and different spaces, and classrooms in general will look different. And it will be facilitation spaces with coaching questions. Why does this matter? What do you want? And then AI will plug the rest of the gaps. I totally believe that's the case, and I can't wait for that day, because I think it's going to shift completely how human beings operate. That doesn't mean we're all going to be like robots, which is what other people are scared of. It's not at all. Well, imagine if you needed to learn how to car, or like car maintenance, or like you were saying before, how to do this, how to work my cooker, or how to change a plug, or how to do a budget, and you had a learning environment, so you know you were going somewhere safe, because a lot of the time school's a safe place for people if they're having crap at home. They want to go and have a break and have that social space. But if you knew you had access, you could ask a question, you could get, you learn from YouTube, don't you? You could learn anything you want to learn in that time. How much different would that be for your experience?
Everything.
Yeah, but you would be able to learn what you needed to learn at the time, and you'd take it in and you'd experience it, because you'd do it because it'd be relevant for you. I think that's definitely. So
I think it is a good thing to take a youth work approach in schools.
How different do you think that would be from your perspective?
Massive difference, because I think I learned a lot more. I had a lot more opportunities. I've grown as a person a lot more with having youth workers than actually sitting in that classroom.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes the problem is people think, and it's really one of my bugbears, is that a lot of adults, my generation and above, believe that young people aren't capable.
Yeah.
They're not capable. They need babysitting, and they need an adult in the room to tell them what to do. And I think you can have some real magic, even with younger age groups, but certainly like that whole sticky teenage, high school time, being able to hold space and facilitate, watching young people solve it for themselves and work out dynamics within a group and coach each other and give each other tips. And some person says, actually, I tried that, do you want to try that? You take away a lot of the behavioural stuff, because people aren't trying to vie for attention. Somebody who's they are empowered, and someone who's maybe a bit quieter or a bit shyer, other people tend to help and bring them out.
Especially, it's like in schools, it's 100% like, if you get something wrong, you can't do it at all. No,
you're rubbish. Yeah,
you can't do it. You've got to be moved down the site. You've got to be doing this. You've got to be doing that. You've got to be You've got to be revising more at home, and this, that, and the other, because you can't do it in school. But this is the only way you can do it.
It's
and
rubbish,
then you turn to someone else, and they're like, "You can do it this, and this way." And I'm like, well, that should have been an opportunity in school. But it's like, it was especially seen in maths department.
Yeah.
Each teacher had their own way of teaching.
That was right.
But each teacher wouldn't support the other teachers, because that teacher was wrong in doing how they were teaching.
Oh, isn't it bad?
Because that teacher is the only way you do it.
But we've all got different learning styles. I've seen it. Has anyone heard of Singapore maths? That's no problem. So in our primary school, where the kids went, a long time ago, they had a new approach to maths, and I did a walk around once. It's the best thing I've ever seen, because I have a real issue with maths because of my maths teacher, and because I'm creative. I'm brilliant at English, I'm brilliant at languages. I can't do maths. I haven't been able to help my kids with maths because I can't do maths. So it's always been a big thing for us, money and numbers. So similarity, yeah. But I've always had that maths thing, that I'm not good at maths, because that was my belief, because I couldn't do it in school, and I was told you're not very good at maths. But then when I did this walk around years later, and I watched all these kids, and I was talking to the teacher, he's brilliant, about the approach, and it was real coaching, and it was exactly that. He's like, this is the problem we've got. It was a maths problem. What are we going to do about it? And the teacher would sit back, and the kids would go, well, could you do that? And they would explore together, and each child would have a different approach to, well, if we add that to that, or like if we build that, and they would all write something different or draw something different. The answers came out. There is obviously, with things like maths in that capacity, there's a right answer. If you're doing 2 + 2, there is a correct answer. But how you get to that is going to be different for each brain. So I thought, what a great way. Imagine if you could do that in high school, and you could have all that problem solving. And like Vanessa teaches it brilliantly out here, maths in the woods. You can teach anything, and everybody's brain will recalibrate in a different way. It's just breaking through that school barrier of, no, we're right. We're right. It's this way. It's always been this way. Yeah, but it's not right anymore. It doesn't work now.
I was supposed to be doing a higher paper, and it was like a C, B, A star.
Yeah.
And I sat my mocks, and I went to my teacher, and I went, no, I can't sit a higher. So I was like, put me in on an intermediate.
Yeah.
An intermediate went from like C, D, E, F.
Perfect. So you could have got your C if you could nail it.
And she was like, Lacie, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get a C. And I was like, okay, but that's fine.
You feel more comfortable.
I've got this.
Yeah.
But I made her. She was like, if you go down, you're going to have to move sets. And I went, no.
Oh, okay.
You're the person that teaches me the best. I teach from you.
Yeah,
I'm not moving to any other set. You've had me for 4 years now.
That's a big
I
move,
teach
yeah.
off you. I don't care if I'm the only one
Yeah.
sitting an intermediate paper in a class of full hires.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you're not actually teaching me what I should be teaching.
Just let me do that paper.
Just let me sit this paper. And I ended up getting my C.
There you go. You know
and
yourself,
my teacher sat there and was like, do you know what, Lacie? I'm proud of you for fighting for what you needed, because I understand now that you couldn't have done your hire, but you couldn't have been moved a set anyway because you wouldn't have got your C.
Maybe that will have made that teacher think as well. Maybe that will have changed the way, if they can reflect on that and think, actually the student often knows what their needs are. You just need to work with them on it. It's so interesting, isn't it? It's what it should be, isn't it?
I think it is always hard though that, like, if your teacher doesn't believe in you, you're not going to believe in yourself as much.
Oh,
they're the brains.
I work with adults now who are deeply traumatized, and every time we do a piece of work, you included, it drills back. You start to dig. Why do I behave like this? Why am I triggered by this? Why do I feel like this about myself? You go back, and it's usually something in school that a teacher didn't even realize they said, anything that's making you feel like you're not good enough, you can't do it, maybe you're a bit stupid, or maybe just something that's embarrassed you or humiliated you or made you feel judged. And then it lasts with you forever. And then on your relationships, maybe your parents accidentally backed it up. Maybe you've heard your parents saying, oh yeah, to somebody else, oh yeah, they're not very creative, are they? But they're good at this. And even that sentence, that makes you think, okay, everyone's telling me that I'm not creative, I can't do anything like that. It's really interesting.
Because I was very physical. I loved PE.
Did you? Like drama and PE and stuff?
So I picked PE GCSE. And at the time I was fainting all the time.
Yeah.
And this teacher, I absolutely loved her. We had a really good connection because I was sporty. And she predicted for me to not get, I broke my finger. So she was like, no, you're not going to get what you need in your exam to pass. And it was a physical exam at the time. And I ended up being the third top in the class because I sat there and challenged her. I was like,
they shouldn't say that.
Because I put Morris dancing in as one of my evidence, and she goes, Lacie, this is not enough, not good enough. You need to add more. You're not going to get past for this. And I sat with her and I went, have you ever seen Morris dancing before? She goes, no.
Really
have you ever judged Morris dancing before? She said, no. I went, send it off to the examiners and see what they say. And I ended up getting 93 overall in my 3 sports and my coursework.
Look at that.
Out of 100.
But you could have taken that on board, that not good enough.
Yeah.
You're not going to pass. And that has a massive effect. So again, it comes down to training.
But then
and it comes down to youth work training
as well.
Did it?
She goes, Lacie, you better not fail this, because you're the only one that's predicted to pass in my class, and you better not be fainting, because if you faint in the exam, you're going to fail.
Because that's how it works.
I sat there and I went, I really would love to know when I faint. I would love to control it.
Yeah, it'd be great if I could predict it.
It would be amazing for me.
So again, I think every single thing we talk about comes back to training, and it comes back to that youth work approach, because anybody who is in that space understands different kinds of communication. They look for the non-verbal cues, they look for behaviours, they look for what people aren't saying as well as what they are saying. And I have never met a youth worker that would say any of those things, because they're not looking at targets, they're not looking at performance, they're looking at looking at the person.
There's been something I've wanted to add to what you said, and that's exactly it. Hit the nail on the head there, because targets, like the teacher that, from my experience, said I wasn't gonna. She wanted to put me in to the paper that I did the intermediate paper to get that C, that I had to fight for me to do it. She wanted to put me in a lower paper where I could only get the top mark of the D. Well, the reason that would be is because she was under pressure.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want somebody getting a D on that was the top grade in that paper. So statistically, that would have looked good
for her stats. Yeah.
But that's probably where a lot of teachers are in high school, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe your teacher was thinking, oh, well, if I kind of safeguard a solid top grade in this particular category, that's going to be better the data than taking a chance on somebody, letting them get the mark that they need and that they want and that they deserve and that they can can get.
And it stops people.
Takes away that empowerment.
Yeah.
I think it.
Yeah. Students.
Yeah.
It just never stopped either. Like I left school, I did my exams, but then on results day, it's still the shock of the teachers. Like I would have them come up to me and I would show them my exam results, and my PE teacher goes, "Oh, you passed," and I go, "Yeah, I passed."
I don't get that. Like it's so
and
bizarre.
then English was like, "Oh, you're only 4 marks off," and I went, "Oh yeah, that's really good." She goes, "Yeah, I didn't even think you were gonna pass," and I went, "Cheers, love."
But even for me saying something like you're only 4 marks off, again, it's all down to that attainment thing, isn't it? It shows that you didn't quite get it. I'd be going, oh my God, it's amazing. It's just the way someone deals with that is the difference between you believing you've succeeded or you believing you failed. It's the same result, but if someone says you're only 4 marks off, that's telling your brain, I didn't do enough. I wasn't quite good enough. I could have done better. But if someone gives you a high five and is like, bloody hell, that's amazing, especially after everything you've been dealing with, you've nailed it.
Yeah.
You are suddenly empowered thinking, yeah, I knew I could do it. It's the
That's
words and the language they use.
Got my results, walked home, and then walked to my youth worker.
And I bet they had a
met with my youth worker, and she was like, "Lacie, this is amazing. After everything you've been through, look what you've reached and look what you've achieved." And she was like, "Okay, we're going to go to college now. We're going to give them your results and get you on your course because you've got where you need to be and you've got what you to get on your course." And even though I had a bad morning with my school, the afternoon was amazing because I got onto my course. I saw that actually my grades were good and that they weren't all bad with what the teachers are saying.
It's so bad, isn't it?
And now you've left school, what role are you wanting to go into?
Youth work.
Yeah, because you know what helps you. Yeah, and it says a lot. You're not desperate to go and become a teacher.
Yeah.
You would be a brilliant teacher, but you recognise that actually what helps you the most, not that, again, it sounds like I'm dissing teachers. I'm not. I think teachers have got a really bad deal. It's the system. I won't even go in and try and help anymore because I can't help. I can't do anything. The system is so bad. And I know there's a few success stories, and I've got a couple that have come out of doing our Wicked Issues that have said, actually, but the vast majority have been stories like this.
It also is hard because, like, so obviously I'm doing a childcare course in college now, and that sets you up to do your teaching.
Yeah.
So when you walk in there day one, you're getting told, oh, you can be a teacher in uni. And they think that's the only path you can take with that childcare course.
But that might change. You might want to eventually. You might want to be a teacher and go into teaching a different way.
Day one, all the students in my class found out that if you do teaching, you get this in bursary from the government because they're willing to put money into teaching because they want more teachers.
So you feel like you're being herded.
Everyone was like, oh no, teachers this, teachers that. I wanted to be a teacher. But when I sit there in front of a full class full of students and everyone wants to be a teacher or a nursery practitioner, and then I sit there going, I want to be a youth worker, and everyone's like,
yes,
yeah, that's not what you're supposed to be doing in this course. And I was like, do I not learn about children? Do I not learn about young people?
Of course it's going to set you up for that. And I think I feel so sorry for all these people going into teaching now, the newbies. We said this before, haven't we? The people that are going in and they don't understand because all they want to do is help and all they want to do is teach young people, and they don't understand what they're going to get themselves into in terms of their burnout and stress and pressure and red tape.
Half of my college students don't know what they're getting into, don't know anything about how the government's doing the education system. They just know what they're getting learnt in their curriculum. Which, to me, I'm like the one that goes back.
You check and you watch.
And I'm like, okay, this is happening. This doesn't look good. And this is what needs to be done, but it's not being done. Whereas they are just the people that get the bare minimum done in their lessons. Yeah,
and you question things and you look at policy and you look at mandates and you look at what's going on. And so you're setting yourself up massively for a really great career, whichever way you decide to go, because you understand the mechanisms, don't you? And you understand how it works. And more importantly, you understand how it doesn't work. And I guess you can apply that now. Now you're older, you can, and I know you are doing, you apply that to your own experiences, and you can think, actually, I was never the problem. This wasn't right. This wasn't okay. This wasn't good. And I guess that's going to shape how you move into your role as a youth worker, because you've got all that experience and you've got all that knowledge as well on top of it. You're going to be a right force to be reckoned with. You're going to be. I think we have a new Prime Minister, but I don't think it'll be called Prime Minister at some point because people are so fed up with this. Every structure that's built like that.
Look, there is always a side of me. So I've been speaking about it for like a year now. I really want to be a youth worker, but then there's still a part of me that like dying to go into politics and sort it
out.
Everything. Obviously I know I can't change everything as just one person, but I would love to start that foundation, and I would love to be that change. So there is a part of me that wants to be the youth worker, but there is this part of me that wants to be a politician, and I can
see you being great at either of those things. It's going to be a case of just following the path until see what lights up and see where it leads, and you can change it any time as well. Don't forget, you can change. You might be. It
always confuses me because I've met loads of members of Parliament and members of the Senate, and they go, "Oh yeah, I used to be a teacher," and I'm like, "So why have you got these views now?
Yeah,
and why are you stuck in this view just because you're in a politic role now?"
Yeah.
So why are you in this?
I think because there's such indoctrination. I know lots of people who've gone into politics and like local authority because they really want to implement change and they desperately want to make a difference, but they get swallowed up by all the bureaucracy and the red tape. And that's why a lot of people over the years have said, "Oh, you should run for local election." I'd rather stick pins in my eyes because I can be much louder shouting from the outside when I'm not bound and gagged by all of the
it's because once you're in there, you're scared to say no.
Yeah,
you're scared to be that out person.
You follow the rules. You follow the rules, and then other people unfortunately have to think, well, I can still do it from the inside, and I'll follow those rules, but I'll try and do that, and eventually you just get swallowed up. Because again, it's systemic change. It's the problem, isn't it? It's the overall system. If things were set up in a way that was better for people to explore different opinions, different options, and things were different, then people with different views would be heard a bit louder, wouldn't they? And it wouldn't be as
it's like they're adding members to the Parliament and to the panel of members of the Senate. They're adding instead of actually working on the inside out. So they're adding to the problem without fixing the problem first.
It's exactly what it is.
Because they think adding is going to make it fixable.
No, if anything, it's the other way around. They need to scale it right back, work out the problems, and then start again from scratch. But they won't do that because there's lots of ego involved, there's lots of power imbalance involved, and it's the way it's always been. But good things that happen on the fringes, like some of the projects you're involved with, what we're doing. The more of these things that can pop up and be supported, and the more conversations we have, and you're a really good example because you're kind of connecting between a lot, aren't you? You're like connecting things together. That's, I think, a really good key. So it might be that is your political career, is actually sitting on panels while you're being an amazing youth worker, sitting on panels, getting your voice, bringing the voices to people and connecting people together. It doesn't mean you have to take on a traditional role of a politician, because this is only my opinion, but in my opinion, I just don't think you can fix it from the inside. One person cannot fix a broken problem from the inside. I don't see it. I think people doing great things from the outside and then gathering in numbers there, maybe that will shift things slightly. I think you can still be political and have like the things you love about politics and the things like the problem solving and the changing policy, all those things. You can still do all those things, but you don't have to be swallowed up in the system to do it. You can, do it in different ways, and there's always
it's just getting people's voices out there, and that's why I'm a big advocate for like public speaking and men's mental health and young carers, and I will speak for days on them because that's something I'm passionate about. But then when you sit there and you speak, and then you're being listened to there, but as soon as they leave that door, they're not going to remember anything, or they're going to forget everything, and they're not going to actually do anything. It is hard to stand up there and actually speak.
It's the action off the back of it, and that's always been my thing for years. I've done this for years and years and years, and there's little bits of movement, little bits of action, but if there's any consolation, I think now you're lucky that you're the age you're at now, because 2025 and beyond, I think it's shifting slightly, and people, long gone are the days where they would just pay lip service and yes, we'll listen to you. I can remember being given like 2 minutes or 5 minutes. You can speak for 2 minutes, and I thought, yes, I've got a way in, and it's going to change things. And then afterwards I realised, I just ticked a box for them. They weren't even listening when I was speaking. They're certainly not listening now. So there's definitely no action off the back of it. But now things are getting so bad, and people are getting so loud and so noisy and so big in numbers that they actually do have to do something. So I think you're in a really good position where actually having this ability to speak and having the lived experience and collecting other people's voices and being that advocate is a really strong position, because even if people don't want to listen, because they can go back home to their second mansion and go, I don't really care because I've got my 7-0 salary, I'm quite happy, thank you. Even if that's their position, and that's not everybody, but there's a lot of them out there, they're going to have to justify getting that 7-figure salary by taking some action. So if you can have the right voices and we can have the right numbers, those actions will have to be taken at some point. That's the best we can do, isn't it? So that's important to you then. If you think someone cares about you, you will offer that back to them. Being human, isn't it? I wonder whether that's because we've always had like adult to adult conversations, even when you were little, something called transactional analysis. Have you heard of that? They don't teach it in school. That's another topic. They should be teaching that. I'll tell you about it in a minute when the camera's off. But transactional analysis is when you speak to somebody, basically it's speaking to someone like an adult, even a young person. If you can have an adult to adult conversation, everyone gets their point across. And I think you're so used to that going into a situation in a school where a lot of teachers have this, you've got 3 ego states: child, adult and parent. And teachers, unless the good ones, tend to be in parent state. You're the child, you do as I say, and whether they like it or not, they come across that way. So that really triggers off, especially boys, and especially ADHD tendency boys, being made to be condescending. Don't treat me like a kid. I'm not a kid. But if you have the teachers that will talk to you all like in a youth worker way, talk like an adult, you respond so well because you're not triggered off. And I think that's the key. Do you think it's a thing with authority for you in particular? Because thinking about you growing up, like say we went out anywhere, into shops, with family, you weren't rude or disrespectful in any way to any adults. You were always dead respectful, and you would. So going into, like, say you were here when you were, and there was like Angela, you might not know yet, or Vanessa, you would never have been disrespectful. You would have been really respectful, even if you didn't know them. But in a school situation, you really had a difficult. You really didn't do well with it. Oh, isolation is ridiculous. He loved it. Why would you not want to? Why would you not want to be sent home?
And that's
it's not punishment.
The problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, this breakout space is actually having the opposite effect.
Yeah, it's a badge of honour, isn't it? Oh yeah, I want to go to ISO, and you've not got people in your way, have you? You can just chill out. There's no sensory overload. You've not got 30 odd other students. You feel that as well. There's not 30 other students. Not a teacher bellowing. There's not things on the wall, things outside the window, stuff.
I used to be the person that either sit at the front right in the corner or sit in the back right in the corner.
Yeah.
And hide.
Your nervous system comes down. Yeah.
I would just be the one that sit at the back of the room just so I could see everyone.
That's safety seeking, though. That's safety seeking in the corner.
Yeah,
back.
In the corner, my back's to the wall. I could see everyone.
I can see what's going on. Yeah,
I could see through the windows.
Yeah,
I could see what was going on. I could see if someone was coming up the stairs.
Yeah,
I could see if someone was about to walk out the classroom.
But even that, to someone who's a good facilitator, a good youth worker, you taught that kind of thing, body language, where people position themselves, how they, just so many things.
I used to know everything about everyone just because of where they sat and how they sat and how they did their work and how they learned.
You pick up on all those cues, don't you? And you do pick up on them. But I think now, like being excluded, like you've done something really bad, we're going to make you stay at home with your parents who will give you treats and let you just watch Netflix all day as punishment for 3 days. You're like, well, how is that punishment? This is your sense of justice as well, because quite often with Tommy, it wasn't particularly that you were just trying to be naughty, I don't think. And I don't like that was a problem. And I understand why, because I've had a classroom of 30 before when I've been trying to teach something and there's people just challenging and it's really difficult. So I understand what it's like to try and hold that space. And I understand behaviour management, I get it all. However, I know the few times that I'd had conversations with teachers off the back of one of these, it was when we drilled it back, it was Tommy saying, hang on, that's not right. You know, a teacher being sexist, he's defending the females in the room, or them just saying something that he doesn't agree with, he really thinks is fundamentally wrong against his values. Young people should be encouraged to vocalise that in a healthy way. I mean, even saying, like, you know now looking back, that if that teacher had to deliver a certain amount of things in that hour and had 30 people, they're going to have to do something. You could find a way, if someone disagreed with you, you could find a way to manage that if you had the skills to say, do you know what, that's a really good point, actually. You could apologise if you were wrong. Yeah, you could say, exactly. You could say, let's have a chat about that.
Because you're actually curious, and that's how you learn, because you're challenging, you're questioning, you're giving your viewpoints. That's then being turned into, oh, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
There's
bad behaviour.
So many layers to this.
Bad behaviour. You call out bad behaviour and then you're the baddie.
I got sent to ISO for that.
Did you? Same thing?
For that reason.
Really?
I remember going to school, and I went to high school, and went in as a cover supervisor because I was primary trained. And I wouldn't have been that much older than the pupils. I'd have been like 20, 22, 23.
God, man, that was a tough crowd.
Oh, I did well.
Wow.
And I remember to start with, I was just like, it was like circus, really, to be honest. But by the end, I was like, well, ultimately, I'm not trained in high school. You know, I'm doing the supply agency a favour, and I'm getting paid anyway.
Yeah. Fine.
That was my attitude. And I tried a different approach then, and it worked really well because I kind of had more of the rapport with the class. And I remember they were like coming, they were all like in a line, and they were going supply. I got to the front of the line, and I like stood there, and I went, yes, I'm very aware that I'm a supply teacher. I said, but I'm not just standing in front of your faces going people. I go, let's get in. And I had a really good response in that lesson. And it was
you have to build rapport.
Getting that right kind of engagement. Yeah. And also, it's also that culture that children treat a supply cover teacher very differently to the teachers that are there. And there were a hell of a lot of, there certainly were back in my day, there was a hell of a lot of supply teachers being needed and cover supervisors. In school because again, staff sickness.
And that speaks a lot, isn't it?
Staff shortage at the moment.
Well, why aren't they questioning that? There's no staff, they're desperate for teachers, and the ones that are in are off sick with stress. Is that not enough to realise that there's a problem? Look at the problem.
Because I had PE one day, and my PE teacher was either on a trip or she was doing something with her GCSE lot, so she couldn't be with us. So we had a supply, walked in, and everything just uproared in my life. And I was like, okay, supply, it's going to be a nice chilled lesson. He's going to give me a worksheet and I'm going to get on with it.
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed because everyone sat at the back and I couldn't be the person like looking around the room. So I had to sit right in front of this teacher. And one of my friends sat with me, and she could obviously see that I was getting really stressed and really anxious. And she turned to me and goes, Lacie, are you okay? I go, no, I'm really stressed at the moment. He turned around, he must have been earwig, and he turned around and goes, what have you got to be stressed about? And I sat there, I went, I'm not even going to start that conversation with you right now. And he goes, well, if you're that stressed, go see your mum. But my mum had just left. So I literally got up, walked out the room and walked to cool down, because I would have if I didn't walk out, I would have kicked off.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been nice for anyone to be in that room with me.
Self-awareness though.
So I walked off, and 2 seconds later, I was literally by isolation. I was speaking to one of the teachers.
Take yourself to isolation.
They could see how anxious I was, and they stopped me on the corridor. And we were literally right outside ISO, and the teacher was working ISO for the day, so she actually came out to come speak to me. And one of the girls that actually despises me turned around and goes, Lacey's been sent to ISO by the supply teacher. I went, well, I can go in ISO, put me in ISO, because I'm not going back to that lesson. And my teacher goes, you're not going in ISO, just go sit in the corner.
Just go and chill for a minute.
Go chill out. Don't kick off with anyone.
What an
speak to anyone you want.
And there are some really good practitioners that do supply teaching that have a little bit more like awareness. And, that wouldn't make that assumption. But this is also the problem when there's so many. When there's a staff shortage, when staff that don't know the background of their pupils come in, because that's when students that really.
But you just can't do that.
I think he did. I went back to him and I went, oh, I'm sorry for walking out your class, but this and this. And I went, you can't, from my point of view and the background I have, you can't make assumptions on the kid's background.
You can't.
Because not every person has a mum and dad. And not every person lives with their mum. And not every person lives with their dad. And there's people that could live with their grandparents or could be in care. Like, you can't say, just go speak to your mum when you don't actually know if they actually have a mum figure.
It really is quite a basic. It's quite a basic thing. But I think as a practitioner, as an adult, so as a facilitator, as a teacher, as a parent, when you've got stuff going on in your life and you think that everything in your life is the most stressful thing and nobody else's lives matter because I've got bills to pay and I've got this and I've got that and I'm trying to be a parent and everything's awful, and then you go into a situation where you're working with young people. The ridiculous assumption that because you're going through your stuff, that means that, I wish I was 15 again. You don't know you've got it easy. Totally diminishes what these people are going through, because every experience is valid, and the overwhelm that you might be experiencing, I might sit there and think to myself, I'd love to be having that situation where I had a roof over my head, where I had this, where I had that, where the other. That would be so easy. But at the time when you're 15 and when you're going through that, the overwhelming emotions, you have to.
I also think it's a lot now with people say, oh, when I was 15, there was no phones and there was no this, and you would just go out and play until the street lights came on.
Well, you did,
which, yeah, I understand. But there's children are a lot aware now of the dangers of being out all the time.
Yeah.
And they're not going to want to go out if they've just seen this and this happen on the news.
No. And we're so, like, our emotional selves haven't caught up with the technology. So there's a whole mishmash between too much technology, no emotional intelligence, and then you go into a school system that's still in the 1900s that tells you to be something else again. You're like, well, what am I meant to do? I'm getting told so many different things. But the awareness is crazy, isn't it? Of, oh, what have you got to worry about? You don't know your boy, it's dead easy. And you think this could be such tragedy and trauma. And even if it's not something that you can relate to, and even if as an adult you think, that's ridiculous, get over it. It's so big. It's so big for that person.
Having these conversations, just actually, we all know all the kind of the areas that need a lot of improvement and need a shake up. But actually, just chatting and speaking out loud about all this,
makes you realise, doesn't it?
Mind-boggling how
it's got that bad.
How it's got to this
level. It is.
How is it okay? All these layers of problems.
The thing that bothers me the most is it's down to the young people to mask up as much as they can to make the problem go away. That's what the assumption is. It's not down to anything else. The kids have just got to deal with it and stop acting out, do as they're told, and get the attainment that's expected of them.
Talked about uniform.
Oh God, yeah, and that's the opposite to what should be happening, isn't it? It's not the young people's responsibility. It's not for you to do. It's not about our past or how we did it in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or 60s. It's about your future and how we make that better. And we've got to catch up because things are so different. I haven't got a clue what it's like to be your age at this time. I wouldn't like it at all. But at least we can be empathic and we can listen. That's the point, isn't it? It's listening that's the thing, not dictating.
You know, and literally everything that we've talked about. You know, we get it, don't we? We get that it's the teachers genuinely. You know, most professionals they're not meaning to be part of the problem.
Not at all.
They just either haven't got the training.
They've got no choice.
Their mental health is
you
know, being damaged by the system as well.
Yeah.
The burnout. You know, that it's basically just a cycle of.
Well, imagine when your life was at its worst and you were going through all the horrible things. And Tommy, imagine when you've had the really bad experiences that you've had, and when you were going through that at the time. Imagine then having to go and stand in front of 30 people that are already experiencing their own stuff and do something that you're going to be measured on, and your bosses are going to tell you to do it, and they're not going to give you any money to pay your bills or feed your kids if you don't get it right. The level of pressure to manage your own stuff, your body you want to shout at people, you want to throw things through a window. You've got to clamp down and deliver a curriculum that you don't even believe in, saying words that you don't even believe in, and making these people who are also struggling do as they're told. That's such a hard job. It's a horrible job.
It's the literal triangle of people is just broken.
Yeah, it is completely.
It's like it goes students to teachers to then governing bodies to then the government.
Yeah.
And the government don't have support, which means the governing bodies don't have support, which means the teachers don't have support, which then means the young people don't have support.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. But there's no excuse to not. You can't just keep sweeping under the carpet. Is the point, isn't it? We have to have more of these events, more of these conversations, and more putting these voices at the forefront, which is why I'm really excited about the magazine, because I think the magazine, at least we can get that out digitally as well. That can be shared. And I know Lindy wants to do it once a quarter. So once we've done this, I think if you fancy it, so Macie's down as the editor for this one. If you fancy it, when we do it, whatever we decide to do with the next one, we're going to do one every quarter and just collect voices, and we'll make it a feature or a theme. So we'll have a think about what the next theme could be.
Yep.
And then if we have like a guest editor for each one, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? Just try and collect as many voices as we can. Well, I'm going to write a list, I think, of the things that we need to do, the people we need to email, and these 5 pledges so I don't forget about it. Yeah. See, this could be like the best podcast yet.
Give me.
Imagine if this is the best podcast yet and we just get like 5 billion followers just from this.
Topics. We probably haven't even scratched the surface, really.